Yo, what's good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. This is What If Deku was a half Viltrumite, and as always, if you guys enjoy, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below. As this is part 2 of the series and the ending of the series, and if you guys enjoy, please show some love as always. But I check the links in the description for the Spotify, the Discord, and or the membership, all that stuff. And I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into it, so let's get it. Inko Midoria faces off with All Might himself, 1-on-1, and this right here is a battle that his own mother is watching very intently on. A lot of people, they're wondering why, but soon they'll know, because immediately when they jump in to fight each other, when Izuku and All Might go head to head, it's pretty obvious that Izuku has full capabilities to not only keep up, but might even outclass All Might. He begins to actually, in terms of a straight up fighting style and martial arts skill, he is far beyond All Might. In raw strength, he might be even more beyond, but even Inko doesn't know if her own son is holding back. Izuku goes blow for blow with All Might, dodging and weaving and slipping punches as they go along, leading them to have an absolute fantastic, fight that leads in Izuku actually defeating All Might by covering him in capture tape. His mother watching intently and wondering if Izuku could have actually won via a different way, via a way of, actually knocking him out or something along those lines. But nonetheless, Inko is done watching and would head home and would leave before her own son would see anything else, or basically get to see her while she was watching. After it all is said and done, the rest of the students go along with their own kind of events and go along with their own kind of final exams, and Izuku would prepare for the eventual go to basically head off to the forest training camp. And once they do head off to that forest training camp, after they get pushed off that mountain, he would fly through the entirety of the forest, destroying and getting rid of a lot of these like earth-like monsters, and starting his journey with a ton of training. Because for the next week and a half or so, or next week or so, all they do really is train. Izuku takes on people like Tiger and starts lifting extremely heavy objects and flying at insane speeds, practicing day in and day out, as they're trying to get him to heighten his abilities and also his skills to a different level. But of course, there are kind of these restrictions, you could say. Izuku's kind of way of growing, or way of getting even better and stronger, is slowing down. Izuku isn't really able to get that much stronger without some really heavy capabilities in terms of, being actually able to get better, stronger, and or kind of more abilities, because, well, the training sessions and the actual technology that is used to help Izuku train isn't really that insane, isn't really to the degree that it really needs to be for him to get that much more powerful. Now, don't get me wrong, Izuku is very powerful. Like, there is no way around that. There is no saying that he's not very strong. But in terms of training right now, he hasn't really been able to make the strides that he really would like to make. Now, even with all that said, though, Izuku still makes some decent leeway and makes some decent kind of advance in terms of getting more powerful, and he takes this entire forest training camp training with others, training himself, and so on and so forth. And once they head off, once they start leaving the forest training camp, is when things would start absolutely just changing and absolutely flipping on its head, because Izuku would head off in the bus, and as they're going by with the bus by different cities and areas, the bus would actually flip over, and this was because of a Nomu. A Nomu would attack. A Nomu would actually flip the bus over, and Izuku would be in shock at what's happening, but he would realize that they need to do something very quickly, because if they don't, there's a good chance that a lot of these students could get hurt, die, or something along those lines. So they try their best to get the heck out of harm's way, and Izuku kind of flies some people out of there and gets people out of bad spots and stuff like that. Now, they do get out of harm's way. The teachers kind of take over, and the pro heroes take over as, of course, everybody else gets out of the way, and Izuku and his classmates get to safety, and they're basically placed in this building of some sorts to just watch what's happening and watch the chaos. And as the chaos unfolds, heroes like Mirako, Sir Night-Eye, Endeavor are taking on Nomu after Nomu, but on top of that, they also get glimpses of All Might taking on the one and only All for One, a fight between two of these absolute insanely powerful beings, but on top of that, two people that are, well, rivals to the very end. At the end of the day, these two people were rivals. Not rivals in the point of, like, you know, this friendly rivalry that they go back and forth. No, far from that. They are rivals to the fact that All Might has watched his own mentor die at the hands of All for One. So with one final clash, one singular punch, they have one punch to end it all. All Might would stand up high, and he would wind up his United States of Smash, preparing himself for one singular clash. And All for One would do the exact same, winding up his own attack, his own prep, and his preparation to land one final blow, one final attack, and one final strike that will end it all, end every last bit of it, and end everything that is going to collapse for Hero Society. And he's about to strike, and they're both about to go head to head. But as the punches were about to fly, a hand would go surging through the chest of All for One, and he would fall directly toward the ground and would be gone for good. And the person that stands there, the person that floats there actually, right in front of All Might, well, is wearing this odd-looking costume, an odd-looking suit of some sorts that is all white with this kind of like trim of dark gray, and this would be Inko Midoria. In complete shock, Izuku doesn't even know what's happening, what even just happened, and All Might would tell her, "What did she do? Why'd you do that? I mean, we didn't have to do anything. Like, you didn't have to kill him. No, what is going on? How did you do that? What's happening?" In which she tells him that this is going to be the final time that these so-called heroes will get the say in what they believe is right. Because from now on, the Viltrumite Empire will have every say, and the Viltrumite Empire will make this world, make it so that no other heroes will ever be needed, because there will be no villains to be dealt with. And every single person will know what peace looks like as long as they follow suit. In which this would obviously shock the hell out of All Might. All Might would be thinking that you're one of the parents of one of the kids that shows so much promise. Why would you do this? What's going on? How did you do this? This doesn't make any sense. In which she says that it doesn't have to make sense. None of it does. Not a single lick of it. All he needs to know is that this is the end of an era and the end of what they believe as Hero Society. And she tells him that he either will fall in line or he won't. But each decision has vastly different options. All Might would stand there and go to actually swing his United States of Smash directly at Inko. But as Inko would look at this, she would catch it with one singular hand and would tell him that was the wrong choice, slamming him into the ground and dragging him through it. As Izuku would be in shock watching this all unfold, he would fly straight through a window, flying directly towards the location. He stops right there. He stands there looking. What are you doing? What's going on? What are you doing, mother? And as he does this, as she sees this, she tells him that all of this, everything she said, it wasn't a lie necessarily. The Viltrumite Empire, though, is still alive, still well, and there's far more of them than they think. And soon, the Viltrumite Empire will arrive here and expect this planet to be prepared for their arrival. And they will do just that. And she tells Izuku that he will fall in place, because he will follow his mother and make sure that all of these villains, everything here on this planet, it will ensue peace. There will be no hunger. There will be no emergencies. There will be nothing. No sickness. No anything. All of it. You won't have to worry about any of it. This right here is going to change it all. Inko says this and says it so convincingly to Izuku. He doesn't know what to think. But of course, All Might's trying to tell him, like, don't do this. What are you thinking? You are my successor. You could change everything. You can ensue peace some other way. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be like this. It doesn't need to be through force. It doesn't need to be through the Viltrumite Empire or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be like this, Izuku. It doesn't. And he tries to plead to him, tries to plead to Inko Midoria, tries to plead to them both. But Inko says that none of it will matter. All the words he says, none of it matters. He should save his breath, because soon her son will come around. Soon he will understand what this all means. And as this is happening, as she's saying these things, Izuku would shoot a punch directly at her and look toward All Might and tell him to get out of here right now. Inko would stand up and shake her head as she would make her, crack her neck a little bit and tell him that was the worst mistake of his life, the worst mistake ever. And they would go head to head, Izuku utilizing even One for All, utilizing that extra power up, and he tries his best to go one-on-one with his own mother, but it seems as if she has all the experience, all the power, and all the strength beyond anything that he could really comprehend, at least to a certain extent. But this fight alone brings out a different side of Izuku, the Viltrumite side of Izuku. It gets more scrappy, it gets more brutal, and gets more absolute. It causes absolute carnage, and it continues to kind of go over and over and over again, and kind of goes insane. And Izuku continues to try and get through to his own mother, telling her that this is not the way. They could save them in a different way. They don't have to send them to basically, to camps. They don't have to, segregate them. They don't have to shut them all down and let the Viltrumite Empire take over. But she tells him that the only way that they will be safe, the only way that everything will be fine, and the only way that every single person here will be completely cured of sickness, of pain, of hatred, of anything, is through this, through their will, through their power, and through their wants. And she knows that the Viltrumite Empire, with their technology, can save this entire planet, and all the villainy will be shut down before you know it. And this would get to Izuku a little bit, wondering, maybe this is the way. Maybe this is the only course of action. But he still pushes himself, fights as much as possible, fights for the freedom of this planet. That's until the fight would continue on more and more, and other people would try to jump in, but he would tell them not to, because soon they would see how much of a difference in power between Inko and them really is, because they would be shot down and shattered to the ground before you know it, leading to an eventual climax of the fight, leading to Izuku Midoriya laying on the ground, bloodied, beaten, and lost. Izuku looks up at his mother, and she tells him that this didn't have to be this way. He can still be a part of the Viltrumite Empire, but Izuku struggles and tries to say something, tries to do something, telling her, don't do this. This isn't it. You don't have to do this. In which she even tells him that this doesn't have to be the way he thinks it has to be. This could be better for all of them, better for everybody. Just listen. Just think about it. In which she knocks him out and just lets him stay there and would start her own plan to stop everything. Starting with all the villains. Cleaning them up quicker than you could imagine. Destroying buildings after buildings of villain after villain. And it seems as if she's taking it into her own hands to handle things the way she believes they need to be handled. Dealing with these villains. Dealing with, well, any of the prisoners within the jails and the prisons. Destroying everything. Killing all of them. And eventually even destroying and eliminating the Shihazaikai and any other villains that dare to stand up, especially any other heroes that dare to stand up, because there's somebody on the rise, somebody that is headed over on a jet plane or standing on a jet headed that way, being that of Star and Stripe, knowing that All Might has been defeated, that many others have been, well, eliminated and destroyed. She knows that everything will trickle over eventually to them, and eventually it will trickle over to where they stay, where they live, and where they have their loved ones. So she goes out of her own way to try to shut it down. But with Star and Stripe arriving, with her eventually getting and arriving in Japan, she doesn't have much of an option, much of a choice, and she tries her absolute best, tries everything in her arsenal, changing the world orders, changing anything she can, and just by a tiny bit, she gets some slight upper hand on Inko, and gets just enough of an upper hand that she might be able to stop her. Will it be at the cost of her own life? Maybe, but as long as she's stopped, there might be a chance. But Inko even tells her that she can do whatever she wants. If she dies here, she gets ended here, the Viltrumite Empire will still eventually arrive. Not for her, not for Inko, not for her son, not for anybody, but because they are conquerors. Because they have a conquest. Because they seek out, they destroy, they overtake, and they command. And that is what they are. The Viltrumite Empire is beyond their wildest dreams. And she tells them flat out that this right here, this choice that they are making, the choice of not complying, the choice that they are trying to stop people, I mean, genuinely, it's going to lead to a lot more death than they could possibly imagine. And Star and Stripe would laugh at this, saying that with her gone, there will be no threat. With her gone, they will prepare and they will be ready for anything else that's to come. And Star and Stripe would reach out, and she's about to command her final world order. Her final command, her final order is to have Inko Midoria, if she moves, she is to be absolutely destroyed, obliterated, and eliminated. And as she's about to finish this last singular word, as she's about to finish the last words that will ensue in the destruction of an actual Viltrumite, a hand would go soaring through the chest of Star and Stripe. And as this happens, she's in shock. She can't believe it. She doesn't know what's happening. Vision is fading. Blood, she's losing it so quickly. And then as she falls from the sky, she sees who it is. Somebody in green and white with gray trimming. This is the son of a Viltrumite. This is Izuku Midoria. A choice has been made. A choice as the son of an actual Viltrumite, and really a choice to be made as a Viltrumite himself. His mother looks at him and smiles. and nods her head and says that this is for the best. This is for the future of the Viltrumite Empire, and this is for the future of this entire planet. And the last sight that many of these heroes see is two people that look very, very similar. Green eyes and green hair in clothing that looks absolutely daunting, as if they are warriors or even a part of some sort of alien military, and they are floating above in the sky. And they look up, and all they can see is these two people floating above them with the body of one of the strongest heroes in the world on the ground, and they don't have much of a choice other than to submit. The choice is to give up your lives for the Viltrumite Empire and choose that the Viltrumite Empire will make everything great, everything better, and everything manageable. No more hunger, no more disease, no more hurting. This is what the future of Earth, this is what the future of Japan and every place upon Earth will now know. But in other universes, all across the multiverse, maybe it's different. Maybe Izuku would have been a lone Viltrumite that becomes a hero of this planet. Maybe there's a world where Izuku decides to stay on the other side and try to stop his mother. But maybe there's a world where Izuku fell the day he stood up. The day he tried to stop his mother from conquering this world from the Viltrumite Empire. But maybe there's also a universe that the Viltrumite Empire was bound to show up anyways, and all of this would have been inevitable. But with that said, that is where this story will end. And if you guys enjoyed, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the series. And I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.